So now it's working.
Yeah, because I think we had to have this going.
Okay.
You're Wizard Harry.
Okay? All right, we're good. Thank you for being patient.
Forget about it. It's fine. Oh, look at this.
We are the gymnastics group, and we focus on the somersault and the cartwheel. My name is Zach.
Sarah.
Jordan. Alex.
And we're going to be starting with the program for development for fundamental movements, and we split them up into 2 stages. First one is the initial stage, where we wanted the kids on their knees on the mat, hands out in front of them, heads up, then looking back at their toes, and then we can use their arms and legs to push them into the somersault. In the elementary stage, we wanted them starting from the standing position, crouching down a little bit, hands out in front of them, using their head as momentum, and as well as their legs to push them into the somersault. Now, in the initial stage, it typically begins from the ages 2 to 3, and most of the kids have experience already from the previous group. And we also have some more information for you if you guys want to read through that. And then I'm going to be showing you some videos too of the initial and elementary stage as well. So this is the initial stage. As you can see, he starts using the mat, hands out front, head tucked in, and then he's going to use his upper body and lower body to push him into the somersault. Now you can see like it is a little bit difficult, and we're going to show the reasons why. Now in the elementary stage, typically starts from the ages 4 to 5, and although most kids start doing this naturally, some of them need a little bit more help because they need to add to their progression in order to do a better somersault. Also, they're a little bit more energetic, and they listen to us a little bit more, which made it a lot easier for them to do the somersault. This is the elementary stage, and as you can see, starts from that standing position, then they're going to crouch down, hands out in front. Once they tuck their head, they're going to use that momentum to drive them forward into the somersault. So that's the elementary stage.
So in class we learned the cephalocala pattern, which is the sequence in which the greatest development takes place at the top of the body, so the head, and physical development moves gradually downwards, so the trunk, legs, etc. While we were having the children do the somersaults, we noticed that they could not do it from the kneeling position. This is because their heads are so big. So a 3-year-old has a head of approximately an average 6.5 inches. An adult has approximately 9 inches. That is a 2.5-inch growth, and that is very minimal compared to the amount that their body grows. And if you were to stack up their heads, they would be 5 heads tall. And an average adult, with the exception of Dr. Anderson, an adult would be 8 inches, because you're tall, really tall. They would be 8 of their heads tall. So it just shows how unproportional they are compared to their head. And if they were to have an adult proportion on a child, their head would be very, very small compared to their body. And as you can see, this one's the child, regular, and then the other one's because their small muscles are still developing, this would lead to them not being able to do it from the kneeling position. So as you can see, Nora here was not able to do it starting from the kneeling position. But then we have her do it from the standing position, which got her more momentum and more strength to actually complete more. Oh, yes.
Alright, so we also looked at the leg strength, kind of like Sarah just mentioned, because it played a lot into the initial on the knees phase of the somersault. So this is we have a 4-year-old on our left and a 5-year-old on the right. And it's pretty staggering actually the difference between them. So we look at the 4-year-old here, and he's really struggling to just get up. And it can attribute to the head size, but specifically here, it's pretty obvious that his leg strength is significantly less than that of a 5-year-old who has no problem doing it in the exact same position. So he rolls pretty smooth. I think eventually Braxton does get it here. But it just takes a couple tries because of the bigger muscles in the 4-year-olds are not developing alongside with the head and the other smaller muscles.
Besides leg strength, abdominal strength was a key part into them actually completing a full one. As you can see here, RJ is 5 years old, so he has developed a bit more abdominal strength, which causes him to actually roll down into it and completing it more than just here. As you can see, Braxton just kind of falls down like this. So having that abdominal strength really has that control over them rolling down instead of just falling down.
In this video, we're going to look at Braxton and the head proportions. Braxton definitely has a bigger head, and it actually creates an obstacle for him to do the somersault. We can see how disproportionate it is to his body, and it definitely does not help doing the somersault. Whereas Christian, who's a 3-year-old, can do the somersault a little bit easier. His head is a little bit more proportionate to his body, and he does it from the standing position, which is also easier as well.
He does it flawlessly.
We're going to show another video with Christian, and he does the same one. You'll be able to see it.
Okay, so then just building off of the strengths, we have RJ, who's 5 years old. He's starting from the crouch position. He gets the technical difficulties here. That's unfortunate. Anyway, so he's starting in the crouch position. The crouch position requires more muscle strength in the legs and in the arms. Let's see if Caleb's going to work. Okay, so if you'll notice, he's crouched at the moment, but he brings himself up to use his legs for more strength. And even then, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see RJ's, but RJ did his way better, even though having that more difficult task to complete.
So then looking at the 3-year-olds, they were pretty similar, although they were just months away in age. They had, like mentioned before, they were more proportional as far as head size to their extremities and their big muscle development. So it's a pretty smooth motion that they have, although it's not perfect. But it was better than most 4-year-olds because they were more willing to engage in what we were doing, and they bought into it a little more, but they were very shy. But once they kind of overcome those obstacles, they performed a lot better than most 4-year-olds because there's a little roadblock that the 4-year-olds hit with head being more unproportional to the rest of their body, and they just don't really want to listen. So they did it pretty well. Micah right here as well. He was very involved in our activities. But there were still some difficulties, but they did overall perform better than most 4-year-olds.
With the only exception of Joshua. So as you guys saw that by Christian, most of the 3-year-olds that we worked with, they were super just into what we were saying and listened to everything we said and totally just got what we said. We were like, put your hands here, put your head there. They would do it, which resulted into this, him going through it. But Joshua, on the other hand, was incomparable. He was very over-exclusive, which is not really common in this age, being 3 years old. And we would tell him to, keep his foot there, and his foot would go up. We would tell him to put his hand there, he'd put his hand, somewhere else. So we believe some type of developmental delay, and that's nothing bad. It's just that he just has to, he'll catch up, and it's just he wasn't there at all. And we tried really hard, but just nothing worked, and it was not.
Alright, so then we kind of looked at the girls and how they performed. A lot more flexibility, especially in the neck and trunk areas. Oblique muscles showed a lot for them because they were more lanky in the extremities, I'd say. And they were just more involved in what we were doing. They really were more engaged and they wanted to do it. So yeah, we had a lot of luck with them as far as, and there were multiple trials, but so gross. But yeah, their oblique muscles, the neck flexion was pretty crucial because that allowed for them to not have to worry about their head size or their developing muscles because they started initially by having a lot of neck and trunk flexion, which sets you up for success in the long run for this type of motion. So it was pretty different compared to most boys who, like I said, are like huge heads and pretty much stiff in a lot of the regions that we needed to carry out this motion. And then we also did cartwheels, which was pretty tough, but we did it. And these were kind of the three phases that we were going for. We didn't quite get them on video or even attempt them because it was kind of tough, but so just the initial, we started with the hands on the mat, just to make it easier. Sarah demonstrates here what we were looking for. Kind of like that round off motion, but with the hands on the ground initially and then the feet in the air. So that was pretty confusing for them, but we had a pretty good attempt here. And he even does like the feet swing to the other side, which we didn't even try to accomplish, but that's typically how a cartwheel works. Your feet will swing over on the opposite side that the hands started on. So he actually did well. And this was a 4-year-old, and we also saw that arm strength again was huge because during that phase where the feet are off the ground, it's like a handstand. It's not like a somersault that we were doing where it's a more gravity type of motion. This is, you have to hold yourself up. So it was pretty tough in that aspect because they just weren't, the bigger muscles were not there to hold them up. And core strength again was a big problem. So yeah, the complications, trouble being upside down is also one of them too because the somersault's a pretty quick motion and the cartwheel is, they're actually upside down for a longer period of time. And they have to hold their body up. And then it was difficult to prevent the round off to try and get their feet to swing out to the other side and perform it correctly.
Okay, so some developmental issues. Some of them were lacking in the non-locomotion movements, causing stability issues. So many were hesitant with the cartwheel. It was really tough. So we would get them to do the somersaults over and over, but the cartwheel, just for stability reasons, they were not necessarily willing to try that up until the last day. So muscular development in the arms and the abs and the legs, it was tough for them to push off. Many of them resorted to using their head, as we saw in a lot of the videos, and not being able to land properly, so bending and landing. And just coordination development in the cerebellum wasn't fully developed in the 3-year-olds and some of the 4-year-olds. So kinesthetic learning is basically just learning based off of watching others. So that happened a lot. So whether it was an instructor, or if it was just another classmate or little kid showing others how to do it. Gender differences. So girls were much more mature. With the boys, we had to really try to fixate on their attention. So the girls were listening more, they were more attentive. The boys were they had more tough of a time. They were denser and just more exclusive, easier to distract. and the girls were more proportionally. So what we did day one, we were trying to be really enthusiastic, trying to make it sound fun to do the roles, which they were. The 3-year-olds were much more impressionable. We could get them more frequently, like, hey, you want to do some roles? Yeah, for sure. So that was much more easier than the 4-year-olds and the 5-year-olds. The 4-year-olds were kind of making the competition. A few of the kids were, not showing off, but I can do it, why can't you? So incentives, as I'm sure all of you did, or most of you, stickers, so princesses and superheroes. It was just funny, it looked like they were trying to catch them all. They were all trying to get different types of stickers, so that was a good incentive. They were more eager to join in the activity. What we would do more, next time, maybe more progression in the steps as far as the rules starting with day one. It was just more of like, I guess you could say a free-for-all. Day one, just getting their feet wet. It was just a lot of the kids rolling around and having fun. Day two, stickers were introduced, and we were progressively giving them more steps. But one thing, if they weren't able to do the action correctly, they would still really want that sticker, so we would give that to them. I would say we did that more often than we probably should have. And incentivize the cartwheels more heavily, because no matter what we could do, it was really tough for them to want them to do it. But we did get a few, which was great. And then just by showing them how to do the cartwheel initially without setting up the boxes, it just seemed really overwhelming, so we probably wouldn't do that next time. And that is it.